Jim Baxter didn't play by rules, he played by instinct, by rhythm, by the mood he woke up in. And if you told him to train harder, he laughed. If you warned him to pass quicker, he juggled slower. He'd toy with the ball in the middle of war, not to win, but to remind you it was his pitch. He wasn't trying to be loved, he wasn't trying to be feared, but somehow he became both and more. To some, he was genius in boots. To others, a menace in disguise. Too gifted to ignore, too stubborn to manage, too wild to trust. He didn't just beat you, he made you feel small while losing. And when he walked off the pitch, he left behind more than a scoreline. He left bruised egos, silent teammates, and managers with regret in their eyes. So here they are, the men who couldn't stop him, couldn't change him, or couldn't forgive him. Subscribe for those rare few who touched greatness and dragged chaos behind every step. It was 1967, Wembley, and Scotland weren't just playing England, they were laughing at them. Jim Baxter stood in midfield, juggling the ball in front of 100,000. No rush, no pressure, just defiance in boots. Then came the pass, a slow, strange pass, floated across midfield like a gift-wrapped grenade. Alan Ball sprinted toward it. Billy Bremner arrived from the other side. The collision was brutal. But some say it wasn't an accident. Some say Baxter knew exactly what he was doing. Ball had mocked Baxter before the match, called him flashy, soft. Bremner, a teammate, had heard it too. And Baxter, he never forgot insults. He stored them. That pass wasn't just lazy, it was loaded. Ball went flying. Bremner walked away. And Baxter just smirked. That day Scotland humiliated England, and Baxter turned a friendly into a battlefield. The papers didn't say it out loud, but players did. Quietly, off record, he set them up. And that was the danger with Baxter. He didn't need fists or fury. He could humiliate you with a flick of the boot, and make you question if it was ever really a game. They were the jewels of Scotland. Jim Baxter, with his hips of silk and grin of defiance. Denis Law, all fury and fire, eyes fixed on the goal. Together they wore the same shirt, but they never walked the same path. After that famous Wembley match, the one where Baxter made England look like schoolboys, Law smiled for the cameras and said, Baxter was the best player on the pitch, but behind the smile was something else, because Law didn't juggle. He finished, he fought, he bled for every ball. He wanted 4-0. Baxter wanted to dance. Law once said he wished Baxter had driven the knife in, not toyed with the victim. That's how he saw football, not theatre, but war. They never clashed in public, never argued on the pitch, but in every silence there was judgment. Law respected the magic, but hated the waste. Baxter didn't train like him, didn't live like him, didn't need to, not back then. But years later, when Baxter's light had dimmed and Law's name still echoed in stadiums, you could hear it in Law's voice. He admired the genius, but he knew the man never chased greatness. Only applause. Dave Mackay didn't talk much, but when he did, people listened. He wasn't just the hardest man in British football, he was one of the smartest, and he saw it coming. Baxter was drinking too much, staying out too late, skipping training, smiling through the smoke like nothing could ever touch him. But Mackay knew better. He'd broken his leg, twice. He'd rebuilt his career from bone and blood. He respected talent, but he worshipped work. One afternoon, after another lazy training session, Mackay pulled him aside. Sort it now, he said. This game won't wait for you. Baxter just grinned, told him not to worry. But Mackay did worry, because he could see the slope and where it led. No shouting, no punches, just a cold, honest truth. And Baxter, for all his brilliance, couldn't hear it. He thought the game would always revolve around him. That form was optional, that the crowds would forgive everything. But Mackay had lived through injury, through war. He knew how fast it all ends. And when it did, when Baxter came back broken, slower, smaller, Mackay wasn't surprised. He'd tried to save him, but you can't rescue a man dancing on the edge. If he thinks it's a stage, Forest paid £100,000 for an artist. What they got was chaos. Jim Baxter walked in with his boots half laced. The body was fading. The hunger had already gone. He skipped training, missed sessions, showed up when he felt like it. Johnny Carey gave him time, he gave him trust. He waited for brilliance, but Baxter gave him headlines. And not the kind a manager wants. In 50 fading appearances, Forest saw flashes. But mostly they saw a man slipping further from the game. And when they sent him back north for free, Carey didn't say a word, but the press did. Forest's most painful gamble. A manager bet on magic. But you can't bet on someone who's already stopped caring. Johnny Carey didn't shout, didn't blame, didn't beg. He just stood still and watched a talent unravel in silence. Because some managers lose matches and some lose faith in the one player they believed in most. No fullback ever truly stopped him. No marker figured him out. He danced through tackles like they weren't there, floated past pressure, played on a different pulse. But the man who beat Jim Baxter was Jim Baxter. I didn't train at all, he later admitted. The Scotland manager once said, "Stick to your club routines." I said, "I will then get me a taxi to the nearest pub or bookies." He made talent look like a joke and treated discipline like one too. He trained when he wanted, slept when he liked, drank whenever it suited him. Yes, I like to drink and I always will. Maybe I've exaggerated in having fun, but moderation is for moderate people. I've never been one. He was fearless with the ball, but careless with the future. I see players run 30 yards to pass 5. What's the point? I'd rather run 5 and pass it 30. He mocked the robotic game around him, laughed at rules, cut his own path, even when it led off a cliff. He didn't just waste chances, he buried them with swagger. "Treat the ball like a woman," he once said. "Cuddle it, caress it, take your time and the response will come." He could have led Europe, could have owned Wembley, could have finished with medals and honours stacked to the ceiling. Instead, he chose magic over medals, nights out over nutrition, and stories over statistics. The boy from Fife made himself a legend, then partied like he didn't want to be one. And in the end, it wasn't defenders who caught him. It was regret, not because he failed, but because he chose not to try. By the time the cheers faded, the rumours didn't. He lost more than games. He lost control. At the St Enoch Hotel in Glasgow, Baxter and pals once kept the bar running till dawn, while bookies watched the tab roll. From his own mouth came claims of losing up to £500,000 on bets. He was said to sleep past training, arrive hungover, yet still pull off magic on the pitch. He drank 3 bottles of spirits a day, according to the era's press. Others remember the silence. A teammate. He got away with everything for so long. A manager. We stopped asking what might cost him. We asked what wouldn't. When the clubs, the boots, the pubs no longer hid him, the whispers became loud. Not about his goals, not about his flicks, but about the man who could command the ball and couldn't command himself. They didn't hold parades, they just accepted the message. He had talent no one could measure and problems no one could fix. He walked away with honours but without redemption. And in Scotland's football memory, the greatest loss isn't the goals he didn't score. It's the ones he didn't try to save. He may have lost the dressing rooms, but he never lost the pitch. Not completely. Jim Baxter played 34 times for Scotland, scoring 3 goals, but numbers barely touched his brilliance. He won 3 Scottish League titles with Rangers, 4 League Cups, 3 Scottish Cups, played in a European final, and once humiliated England twice at Wembley. The day he juggled the ball in front of Bobby Moore, the world stopped. Not for the score, for the audacity. They say Brazil played with joy, but Baxter played with defiance. When he turned up fit, when he cared just enough, he did things no one else dared. He made passes no one else saw. He slowed time. Even opponents applauded. Even critics paused. In a career that promised more than it gave, he still gave fans memories no medal can match. He didn't need awards, he left goosebumps. When Jim Baxter was on, there was no one like him. Not in Scotland. Not anywhere. And somewhere between the cheers and the pints, he lost himself. In the end, it wasn't a match that finished him. It was the bottle. And the silence. 2 liver transplants later, the doctors could do no more. Jim Baxter died from pancreatic cancer on 14 April 2001. Aged 61. The funeral was quiet. The headlines were not. They remembered the genius who broke England at Wembley. They also remembered the man who broke himself. 1 drink, 1 debt, 1 missed chance at a time. A few weeks before he died, he was seen watching Rangers on TV, alone, still proud, still hurting. Some fans cried, some shrugged, but no one forgot. He wasn't just another player who faded. He was fire, and he lit himself. He embarrassed champions, mocked them, passed around them like ghosts. But when the mirror turned, he vanished. Quiet, ashamed, human. Jim Baxter didn't chase public praise. He didn't care for speeches. He left only echoes. the kind that lived forever in those who watched him, even once. Because when he was good, he wasn't just the best in Scotland, he was the best in the world. And even now, they still talk about him in pubs in whispers, like a myth who dared to live too fast and died too young. Subscribe. This is where the forgotten are remembered. And those who remember, stay sharp.